Hello, and welcome to the Young Watchery. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I believe that Nixon watches are a huge and important exception from how the watch world views, or at least should view, fashion watches. To begin this video, we're going to talk about fashion watches, why so many watch enthusiasts hate them, why they're so popular. We're going to just sort of do a quick overview. I know a lot of you guys probably are fully aware of what happens when you type in fashion watches into a watch forum, but for some of my newer viewers out there and people who are newer to the watch world, I want to briefly lay out what fashion watches are and why they're so hated. So to begin with, what are fashion watches? Let me give you some examples. MVMT is probably one of the most popular fashion watches today. Another one is Daniel Wellington, Michael Kors. There's a few others, but those are probably the biggest, most popular three. And basically, fashion watches are watches that are almost solely designed to be trendy. There's really no attention to quality, no attention to craftsmanship. These brands do not have heritage. These are oftentimes, watches that are literally designed just to fit a fad, if you will. They're also terribly overpriced. They're typically not super expensive. But for the actual what you're getting, you're paying way more. These are watches that use cheap quartz movements, often Chinese quartz movements, sometimes Japanese movements. What else? There's a ton of gold plating. There are fake fake chronographs, fake complications. Painted on or just drawn on dials. I should do a quick wristwatch check. I almost forgot. Today I'm wearing a vintage Longines piece. There is just a whole list of, horologically very naughty, if you will, things that these fashion watches do. So that's sort of why they're hated. These are watches that, how should I put it? Fashion watches has really sort of come up as an issue in the past few years, and the few people who do wear watches today are often doing so just for a fashion statement, and these are the kind of people who get roped in by brands like MVMT and Daniel Wellington, brands that promise quality for the price but don't really deliver. And if we're talking like Michael Kors, these have sort of become almost some sort of status symbols, if you will, for the horologically uninformed. And it's a sad phenomenon. And if you, like I said, if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, you will know that these watches are incessantly criticized. Personally, I don't believe that just constantly critiquing other watches is the best thing to do here. But I definitely would not support any of those companies. So anyway, getting back to the point of the video, today we're going to be talking about Nixon watches. This watch here that I have is the Nixon Sentry 38. Pretty basic, stainless steel 38mm case. Nice simple layout, 3-hander, no date, mineral crystal, 100 meters water resistance, push-pull crown, genuine leather strap. Pretty basic watch, right? But we're going to talk about why I actually sort of like Nixon watches and why I think they don't fit your typical fashion watch mold. The first thing we're going to be talking about is design. Okay, this includes movements, this includes sort of the originality of the design, stuff like that. So to begin with, Nixon has its own character, okay? The brand, I don't know exactly what year they were started. They've been around for, a while now. Obviously not as long as Longines by any means, but they've been around for a good while as far as fashion watches are concerned, I guess. And their designs are really, for what they are, they're unique, They don't copy other people really at all. And in fact, with the Sentry, which was a watch that was quite popular a few years back, they sort of, I hesitate to say this, but I'll say it anyway, they really helped pioneer that sort of minimal aesthetic before it was only associated with, brands like MVMT and Daniel Wellington. They sort of, just if you look at this watch, I'll put up closer photos so you guys can see. It has sort of a Bauhaus aesthetic to it. but just a little bit more sportified. And if you look at a lot of their other watches, I think they have a lot of really unique, interesting designs, and most importantly, a lot of their designs are actually functional. They are usable. One of my favorite Nixon watches that I've been very close to getting is the Nixon Brigade. This is a 40 millimeter watch with an internal rotating bezel. I love the look. It has sort of a cushion case. Very cool watch, you know. It has the same sort of similar minimal aesthetic. It has lume. It comes in a variety of unique color options, you know, and size is a big thing too. That watch is 40 millimeters. They make some 38 millimeter watches. This is a men's 38 millimeter watch, and you know the Sentry here is offered in 38 and 42, and that's really nice because you know, if you have smaller wrists like I do, or if you just prefer a smaller watch, 38 millimeters great, and if you want something a little bit larger, you know, 42 is an option for you as well. So they've shown that they are not that their sort of brand demeanor is not solely dictated by sort of the current fads, and that is really nice. And yeah, I think that moving on to the next category, which is quality and craftsmanship, I think that their quality is also a lot better than, say, Daniel Wellington or MVMT. Sure, you know, these are not top grade watches, of course, but they do also offer a few mechanical watches. I believe they have one that is a Swiss mechanical, quite overpriced in my opinion, but a good looking watch. You know, I'll put up the images. They've really, they have a number of designs that I think are actually quite beautiful, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you know, as far as the quality is concerned, I think value is also an important thing to point out. Price, you know, I think these retail for $150. You can buy them on Amazon for well under $100. I think I paid about $70 for this one, and for that price, I think the quality is really pretty decent. Mineral crystal, obviously you're not going to be getting a sapphire crystal at that price, but you know, the leather is quite nice and supple. You know, it's no Hermes alligator strap, of course, but it is quite nice. It's very comfortable. This is an extremely comfortable watch. Has a lot to do with the size, but you know, just overall, I think it's well thought out. It's not, you know, stupidly thick just for you know, fashion, if you will. The case has a brushed finish overall, and the finishing is decent. You know, overall, I think the quality is really pretty acceptable for the price. Is it going to be the same thing as like a Seiko SNK 809? You know, they're different. They're different watches. You know, if the mechanical movement is a must for you, then get the Seiko. If you want something that has a little bit more of a young, carefree, might I say, you know, a little bit more just sort of the watch you strap on and do whatever with, you know, I think the Nixon has that more than the Seiko, especially with the 100 meters of water resistance. Would I do that with a leather strap? No, but they do also offer this watch on a canvas strap, on a bracelet, and you can obviously put different straps on it. Third reason that I think Nixon watches do not deserve to be judged as harshly as other fashion watches is heritage and image and how they market themselves. With a lot of brands like Daniel Wellington, we see these ads that are, you know, they're pretending like they're Patek Philippe, okay? You know, I think Kendall Jenner is now one of their brand ambassadors, and I'll put up a photo. I just saw one of these recently in an airport, one of these ads, and you know, how do I put it? People who wear Daniel Wellington think that they're wearing a nice watch, you know, and I don't have anything, I don't hate these people, but we need to really understand that, you know, these are watches that cost so little to make. They're incredibly generic. You could buy literally the same watch on Alibaba for $1, you know, so it's just awful. I don't know how else to put it. With Nixon, they're at least willing to sort of admit the kind of brand they are. And that has to do a lot with how they market themselves. Nixon, if you've ever seen their campaigns or their ads or been on their website, they definitely have sort of this young, active, you know, surfer dude, you know, like I said, active lifestyle kind of appeal. You know, that's how they're sort of marketed. And I respect that because they're not trying to be something they're not. And, you know, I'm a young dude, obviously. I'm 18. I'm very active. I do lots of sports. And this is a nice watch to just strap on and not have to worry about, you know. I wear this thing biking. I wear it, you know, when I don't wear it in the water, but I bring it with me and put it in my bag when I'm surfing, doing stuff like that. You know, and it pulls through. It really does, you know. And the 100 meters of water resistance is decent enough that if you did dip your hand, you know, in the water, of course, it's going to be fine. I just wouldn't want to ruin the leather strap because this is, of course, genuine leather. And again, as I mentioned, this is kind of personal, but I do like the Nixon image. You know, I think it's how do I put it? I think it's honest. You know, that's what I think it is. You know, no one who knows anything about anything is going to look at a Daniel Wellington and think it's a Patek Philippe Calatrava, you know, despite the fact that Daniel Wellington tries to market it like that, you know. And companies like MVMT, they always say, we're disrupting the industry. You ain't disrupting shit. No one who is seriously considering buying a nice watch, say a Tudor Black Bay or something, you know, in that realm, what else? A Rolex Explorer, an Omega Aquaterra, a Breitling Colt, you know, these sort of like entry-level luxury Swiss sports watches. No one who's buying that is going to be like, oh, wait, I can get the same exact thing for $150, because you just can't. You know, MVMT is their watches have no style. They're completely generic. They're just so designed solely for trends, fads. The Urban Gentry TGV, shout out to Tristano. He did a great video. I encourage you to check that out. I definitely don't agree with everything that the Urban Gentry says, but that is a great video, and I don't want to seem too redundant, so feel free to check that out. I think this concludes sort of my thoughts. I have respect for Nixon. I wear this watch quite frequently. I think the biggest plus here is that it's a carefree watch. You know, it's quartz, it's a nice size, it's stainless steel, it's comfortable. I can put it on my wrist, and I just don't have to worry about it. And when I'm wearing some watches that, you know, granted are not Rolex, but are definitely more expensive, I do often feel concerned to damage them. I think that's pretty normal. So I like having this watch as a backup, and I think I think it competes well against watches like the Seiko SNK or the Casio Duro. You know, definitely not as horologically significant, but I do like the vibes it gives off. So that is all I have for you guys today. I'd love to hear your own opinions on Nixon watches. If you guys have any suggestions or questions, comments, please leave them down below, and I will try to get back to you guys as quickly as possible, okay? Thank you so much for watching. New content coming soon, as always. And, you know, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned a thing or two, I would greatly appreciate a like and subscription. And as always, stay tuned, and thanks so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.